Hello and welcome to another Daily Muppet. Today's video going to cover quite a few things, and you certainly will not want to miss it. We're going to talk about certain transfer priorities ahead of summer, including work that is already being done on a few targets. Talk about some news regarding Jadon Sancho and when he could be expected to return to the team, something you probably have not heard before. And discuss the progress of United so far, contracts, and a few other things. So let's get right into it. Moving into summer, while the club is still in the process of being sold, while the takeover is still occurring, in the football area of the club, with Murtaugh, with Ten Hag, with scouts, analysts, all of that, it is being treated pretty much as business as usual, with the expectation that they are going to be able to make moves come summer. Now, their three major positions, as we know, are striker, center midfielder, and goalkeeper. However, as it stands right now, striker and goalkeeper are more likely to be positions of purchase this summer, perhaps higher up the list or first than center midfielder, and that's obviously going to be dependent on budget, money spent, all of that, as it won't be unlimited. When I broke down the discussion last week regarding the new regulations coming into play, United can spend money, but it isn't unlimited, and it's not unlimited into the future either. So there are going to still be priorities, and then based on how summer goes, what is spent, what's out, what's in, allowing them to move further into center mid. The other thing that has happened, a while back, I mentioned that Fred's contract was expected to be triggered, but then also they could offer him a shorter term deal on lower wages. Now, Fred's having a fairly decent resurgence. To talk about the Derby a little bit, he's been actually fantastic in sub appearances recently, and then had another fantastic performance in the Derby, pretty much marking Kevin De Bruyne out of the game. Yet another game where Fred has terrorized Pep Guardiola, which he's done since he was at Shakhtar. And Samuel Luckhurst, I believe, has mentioned that Fred is one of the players that United are looking to give a new contract to, which is something we heard a while back, that he could get a shorter term extension than just the 1 year. And they're, if Ten Hag believes he can use him, he is good for that role. Obviously, you still have Eriksen, who's not too old. You have Kabi Manu. You have Hannibal Mejbri out on loan. You've got options in the midfield. But I still think it's a priority. Obviously, we talked about that, how Enzo Fernandez is someone who United would love to have. But in the immediate, they have to get a striker, and they have to get a goalkeeper. And so let's talk about striker, as that's sort of the top priority for sure, and I have some interesting information on this. Some of this is going to depend on how the rest of the season goes, but there's a chance, let's say Weghorst performs, that Martial could be moved on and Weghorst signed for cheap, and then a striker signed on top. That is something that you could see happen. It is under consideration. It's always been under consideration if Martial could not have a solid season, and right now it's the middle of January. He hasn't been fit that much, and his performances were a little bit lacking, and again, apparently he's dealing with a little bit of an injury. So we'll see there, but regardless, the striker thing is a huge priority. And where it stands right now is, they were looking and hoping and seeing if they could get a preferred striker target even in January. The problem is, of course, the lack of funds in the club, as well as it's hard to buy, your ideal target in January. But what I can say is that, what I could say overall is that Gonzalo Ramos is one that they are talking to already, representatives, that they're already doing some groundwork on for summer. They would have loved to bring him in January, but it was always going to be difficult with the budget and all of that, as well as, Benfica being in Champions League and top of their league and all of that. Gonzalo Ramos, we first revealed that ahead of the news that United were looking at him, that the scouts liked him, that they looked at him as a preferred target all the way back in October. well before anybody had put that news out. It came out and was confirmed. He had a decent World Cup. He's still performing at Benfica. He's viewed as a very, very good and ideal fit for United by, certain people in the football area. I believe. I can't say that that's specifically Ten Hag. Obviously, he's got to sign off on everything and has a big say in all of this. But it seems to be, from reports from Lowry and such, that he is someone that Ten Hag admires as well. So there's one that was identified by the club. They're already doing some groundwork on it. They would love to bring him in this summer. And it seems like he is, at the moment, the choice. Now, to give that as a little, to back this up a little bit, there's obviously been a lot of talk of Victor Osimhen. And Victor Osimhen is absolutely someone the club really like. Absolutely someone the club would sign. The problem is, and there's another article about this today, but the problem is essentially signing him from Napoli, the difficulties with it. I don't know if anybody remembers some years back when there's talk of Kalidou Koulibaly. Not recently when he signed for Chelsea, but Kalidou Koulibaly initially, De Laurentiis wanted over 125 million for him, and this was like in 2018 or 19, right? 2019, I think, when we were looking for a center back before we signed Harry Maguire, maybe that World Cup summer under Jose. 125 million for him. No bending on the price. An insane price, and that was back then. The problem with Victor Osimhen is that the way that you'd have to go about purchasing from De Laurentiis, he's wanting an auction. He's going to want 150 million if they win the Scudetto. Like, this is going to be... That's the problem with it, essentially. And it's something that has to be taken into account. Now, with new owners, do you have more money? Yes. But spending 130, 140 million pounds on a striker is limiting in terms of this budget that we've talked about, and in terms of getting the club, under a certain point at some point here, in the future, and in terms of that cap and things. So, I think it would take just a little bit of difficulty there, and the difficulty with that signing is the reason why they'd be thinking with alternatives like Gonzalo Ramos as well. Not that it's a bad alternative or anything, or it's a step down, but if those are the top two on the list, the difficulty in acquiring Victor Osimhen is the challenge. So Gonzalo Ramos, some work is already being done. They're moving on that. Goalkeeper, I'm sure there's other names beyond Diogo Costa. As we've talked about, they want to offer David De Gea a lower, reduced contract. There's been more updates that this is continuing, could be done soon. They want to offer Dalot improved contract, Shaw, Rashford, and apparently Fred per Samuel Lucker. So all of these players could be kept around. But yeah, the goalkeeper will be the next priority after striker. As far as I know, it is still a big, big priority for Erik ten Hag and the club, and when we should expect a signing to occur on. I don't believe that those improved contracts will occur that quickly. I'm thinking by March, April, when the sale process is kind of a little more settled, simply because, again, I think they're not trying to bump up all of everything in terms of the wages and things like that until it's clear, until the books are a little more settled and the planning is a little more settled with regards to what's happening in the takeover process. That's as far as I know, but I'm sure the discussions are kind of ongoing as they would have to be. They're not totally frozen, but ongoing to make sure they don't lose these players under any circumstances, because they really don't want to. And I expect they will all get new contracts pretty soon. Moving on to Jadon Sancho, the question of what is happening with Jadon Sancho. So yesterday, from some people I speak with, what I was told with Jadon Sancho is that he is very close to returning, and he's already taken part in team tactical analysis, things like that. But he's due to join team training either. It could have even been yesterday that he was in team training, today, or very soon. He is set to rejoin team training. We should expect that. It's hard to give an exact time, but the expectation was it would be very, very soon. In terms of timeline, what does that mean? I believe this week. And that is the expectation, is that he should be returning to team training sometime, in the next few days. That's what's expected. That's what we should see. And that is the hope. I think we really need that, given injuries, given the thickness of the fixtures coming up and all of that. And it would be really good to see that and to have that happen. We need him back. I think, I'm with how the improvement of everybody else has gone under Erik ten Hag. I'm real excited to see that with Jadon Sancho as well, and that we see that kind of improvement with him. I think we will see that. I think he can be a very important player. I think he gives us a lot more of an option, and I know that Ten Hag wouldn't bring him back if he didn't think he could contribute heavily to everything. The other factor just in all of this is that this sources who I've spoken with now, I can tell you that there are some very good sources outside of United right now, including around and connected to UEFA, who believe United will be sold before the summer. They still believe that is the case. They believe that is going to happen. That's sort of the expectation in the footballing world at the moment, is that that is going to happen. So that's good news on that front. And then more progress will be made. I wouldn't be surprised to see if the sale goes through as it's planned by March and finalized by April, that you see the transfers done a bit early this year, because there will be money available. There will be plans from the new owners, and you will have, the football people have been working on this as a high priority, and backing Erik ten Hag will be one of the things that any new owners coming in expecting to do. And that's really down to the progress that's been made. I mean, when you see how United are doing, the form is impeccable, probably best in the league. And the way that we've been playing, the way we're winning games under Erik ten Hag is impressive. I mean, the derby is obviously great to beat Manchester City, but it's not just that. It's how everything has been going, the flexibility that you can change the team around. I mean, playing with Luke Shaw at center back and beating Man City. There's flexibility in the team now, and the ability where you can see the system. And that's the biggest thing that I see personally. I suggested on Friday, put in Fred and things like that, add energy. Erik ten Hag is clearly understanding how to use his team while maintaining his systems. And that is something we've never seen. It used to be like you change one player and the whole team falls apart. And that's not the case anymore. And that's the most impressive thing to see. There's probably, like you said, it's tough. People want to talk about a title charge and things like that. And what it comes down to is obviously this. It's going to come down to that Arsenal game. If we can get a result there, then obviously you have to start thinking about it. But either way, the progress that's being made, the way we're playing, the way things are going, it's clear to see. And anybody coming into ownership, anybody coming in and looking at this club is going to want to back Erik ten Hag heavily come this summer. And so I do expect that, and I do know that a lot of work is being done to give him what he needs this summer, that next year United could well and truly be competing on all fronts for titles and trophies and every competition. And that's how it should be. And that's what I would expect it to be. So anyway, to wrap it up here, once again, putting it all together, summer priorities, still striker, goalkeeper, with a center mid coming after that. As a striker target, Gonzalo Ramos, some work is being done. Victor Osimhen would be liked, but the difficulty is in the transfer, whereas Gonzalo Ramos is viewed as more viable, and they would have brought him in sooner if they could have. Contracts being done for all these players, including a reduced one for David De Gea that does not rule out buying a goalkeeper and having him either compete with David De Gea for the one spot for the next year or two, or taking it over and having some decent rotation. Jadon Sancho set to return to team training and back into the fold fully very, very soon, if not already, but we will see in the next few days. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on, and I'll see you in the next one.